New York, the southern tip of Manhattan Island, where the Hudson River meets the Atlantic, a natural harbor that was always destined to become something more. What you're about to see is a reconstruction. AI-generated visuals spanning 4 centuries, built from historical records, maps, photographs, and architectural documentation. Where evidence exists, we follow it. Where only descriptions survive, we reconstruct with care. The goal is transparency and capability, showing you a city across time, from Lenape fishing grounds to Dutch trading post, from British colony to American capital, from immigrant gateway to global financial center, through fire, collapse, terror, and pandemic. This is the story of a place that's been destroyed and rebuilt more times than almost anywhere on Earth, the city that never stops becoming. We begin before it had a name. This is Manhattoe in 1400, a seasonal Lenape encampment at the southern tip of the island. Canoes rest along the shore, fishing weirs stretch into the water, longhouses dot the landscape. The Munsey-speaking Lenape use this location as a trading hub, moving with the seasons between inland hunting grounds and coastal fishing sites. The forest comes right down to the water. The air smells of salt and wood smoke. This landscape will be unrecognizable in 200 years. This is New York Harbor in September 1609. Henry Hudson's ship, the Halve Mayen, sails up the river that will bear his name. He's searching for a passage to Asia. He won't find it. What he does find are beaver pelts, abundant and valuable. This commercial failure will launch a Dutch colonial empire. Hudson spends 10 days exploring, trading with the Lenape, then returns to Europe with news of a perfect harbor. This is Fort Amsterdam in 1626. Construction of a wooden fort at the southern tip of Manhattan. Dutch settlers arrive alongside Walloon refugees from the Spanish Netherlands. This is the year of the famous transaction, the purchase of Manhattan for 60 guilders worth of goods. The Lenape understood this as granting seasonal use rights, a concept the Europeans couldn't comprehend. 2 cultures, 1 island, fundamentally different ideas about what land ownership means. The fort grows quickly. Already this is a multi-ethnic trading post, the commercial DNA of modern New York already visible. This is New Amsterdam at its peak in 1660. A bustling port town with windmills turning in the harbor breeze, a canal running along what's now Broad Street, and a defensive wall marking the northern boundary. That wall, its path became Wall Street, literally the foundation of American finance. 18 languages are spoken here. The population is 1,500. Ships arrive from Amsterdam, the Caribbean, West Africa. Already there's a tension between profit and control, between diversity and order. The city's essential character is set. This is the English takeover in September 1664. 4 English warships enter the Erie harbor. Governor Peter Stuyvesant wants to fight, but the colonists refuse. The surrender is bloodless. New Amsterdam becomes New York, named for the Duke of York. The Dutch street plan remains. The city's bones are already permanent. Most residents simply continue their business under new management. The transition reveals something important. New York belongs less to any empire than to commerce itself. This is the Battle of Brooklyn in August 1776, the largest battle of the Revolutionary War. General Washington watches from Brooklyn Heights as his Continental Army is routed by British forces. Defeat looms. But retreat was strategy, not surrender. Under cover of fog, Washington evacuates 9,000 troops across the East River in a single night. The British occupy New York for the next 7 years, making it a loyalist refuge. Washington's retreat from Brooklyn saved the revolution. but it wouldn't be the last time the city determined America's fate. This is Evacuation Day, November 1783. British troops depart from the same harbour where they arrived. Washington returns in triumph. New York becomes the first capital of the new nation, though only briefly. The population has recovered to 12,000. The city is ready to boom. This is Federal Hall in April 1789. George Washington stands on the balcony at Wall and Broad, taking the oath as first President of the United States. New York serves as the nation's capital for just 1 year before Philadelphia and then Washington take over. But the financial center is already emerging here. When the capital moves, the money stays. This is the Erie Canal opening in 1825. A ribbon of water connecting the Great Lakes to the Hudson River, and therefore to the Atlantic. The impact is immediate and overwhelming. The Erie Canal didn't just connect New York to the interior. It made every rival port obsolete overnight. Goods from Ohio, Michigan, and beyond flood into New York Harbor. Within 10 years, the city becomes the undisputed commercial capital of North America. This single infrastructure decision creates an empire. This is the 5-point slum in 1842. Overcrowded tenements, open sewers, poverty, gangs. The dark side of explosive growth. Immigration waves from Ireland and Germany pack the neighborhoods. The population approaches 300,000. Cholera outbreaks kill thousands. This is the tension at the heart of New York's growth. Immense wealth generated alongside immense suffering, often on the same block. This is Central Park under construction in 1858. Frederick Law Olmsted's vision of nature within the grid. Workers carve lakes, plant trees, shape rocky terrain into pastoral landscape. The lungs of the city will provide respite from the relentless density. It's an admission that the city's growth needs boundaries, breathing room, planned relief. This is the Brooklyn Bridge opening on May 24, 1883. Steel cables suspended from Gothic towers, an engineering marvel connecting Brooklyn and Manhattan. P.T. Barnum leads 21 elephants across to prove its stability. Those Gothic towers on Brooklyn Bridge weren't just decoration. They were designed to outlast everything around them, and they have. The bridge is a statement. New York builds to last, builds to impress, builds upward and outward when expansion meets its limits. This is Ellis Island on its first day, January 1st, 1892. Annie Moore, a 15-year-old Irish girl, becomes the first immigrant processed through the new federal station. Behind her, 12 million more will pass through these halls over the next 62 years. Medical inspections, legal proceedings, name changes, hope and fear mixed together in equal measure. 2/5 of Americans today can trace their roots through Ellis Island's immigration halls. This small island in the harbor becomes the gateway to America, and New York becomes the city of everyone from everywhere. This is tenement life on the Lower East Side in 1900. Jacob Riis's world captured in photographs that shocked the nation. Overcrowded buildings, factory labor, children working instead of attending school. But also community, culture, mutual aid and hope. 40% of the city's population is foreign-born. The streets are loud with Yiddish, Italian, German, Chinese, Polish. The density is crushing and generative at the same time. This is January 1st, 1898, the moment Greater New York is born. 5 boroughs, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island, merge into a single city. The consolidation was controversial. Brooklyn voted by just 277 votes to join New York. Overnight, New York becomes the second largest city in the world after London. Population, 3.4 million. the modern city takes its final geographic form. This is the Harlem Renaissance in 1925. Duke Ellington plays the Cotton Club. Langston Hughes writes poetry that will define a generation. The Great Migration has brought black culture, art, and intellectual life north from the Jim Crow South. Despite segregation, despite restricted housing, despite violence, an artistic explosion occurs. Jazz, literature, visual art. Harlem becomes the cultural capital of Black America. This is the stock market crash on October 29, 1929. Wall Street in panic. Fortunes vanish in hours. Breadlines form by morning. During the crash, some Wall Street clerks didn't understand what was happening until the end of the day. The Roaring Twenties end abruptly. New York and the world enters the Great Depression. The city that symbolized endless growth now symbolizes collapse. This is a Depression-era breadline in Times Square, 1932. Unemployed men wait for food. Construction halts on half-finished skyscrapers. Banks fail. But even now, infrastructure projects continue. The WPA puts men to work building parks, bridges, and roads. The city builds through crisis because stopping means surrender. This is New York in 1945. Shipyards at full capacity. War. Bonds sold in Times Square. VJ Day celebrations fill the streets. New York emerges from World War II as the undisputed global capital. The United Nations will locate its headquarters here, the financial center of the world, the cultural capital, the city of the 20th century. This is the suburban exodus beginning in 1954. Families pack cars heading for Levittown and places like it. White flight accelerates. Manufacturing jobs disappear to the south and overseas. Urban decay sets in. The post-war boom is happening, but it's happening in the suburbs. The city that never stops growing starts to empty out. This is the Great Blackout of November 1965. The city goes dark. Subways stop. Chaos mixes with unexpected community. But it's also a symbol of aging infrastructure, rising crime, declining services. The crisis years are beginning. This is the fiscal crisis in 1975. The New York Daily News runs its famous headline, "Ford to City, Drop Dead." The city teeters on the edge of bankruptcy. Garbage piles up. Graffiti covers the subways. Times Square becomes a symbol of urban decay. Police and firefighters are laid off. The 1975 fiscal crisis wasn't just about money. It was about whether American cities had a future. This is the nadir. This is CBGB's in the Bowery, 1977. Punk rock in a dingy club. Meanwhile, hip-hop is emerging in the Bronx. DJs, MCs, breakdancing, graffiti art. Underground creativity flourishes in urban decay. The seeds of the comeback are being planted in the rubble. This is Wall Street in 1987. The boom is back. Yuppies, luxury condos, the beginning of Times Square's cleanup. Crime is falling. The October crash briefly shakes confidence, but the recovery continues. Money returns. Tourists return. The city that had been left for dead is coming back. This is New York restored in February 2000. Times Square transformed into a tourist destination. Crime at historic lows. Broadway sold out. Population back over 8 million. The dot-com boom is in full swing. Giuliani's era is ending. Bloomberg's beginning. The city has reinvented itself again. This is September 11th, 2001, at 8:46 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center. At 9:03, United Airlines Flight 175 hits the South Tower. By 10:28, both towers have collapsed. 2,977 people are dead. Lower Manhattan is coated in toxic dust. Ground Zero smolders for months. The city that defines resilience faces its greatest test. By afternoon, the rescue begins. By evening, the resolve forms. This is Ground Zero rebuilding in 2014. The 9/11 Memorial opened in 2011. 2 reflecting pools where the towers once stood. The museum opens in 2014. One World Trade Center rises to 1,776 feet. Downtown has been rebuilt. But by 2023, more people had died from 9/11-related illness than died on September 11 itself. The health impacts continue. The city rebuilt the skyline but carries the scars. This is New York at its Chistamtsarms pre-pandemic peak in February 2020. Times Square packed, subways full, record tourism, population 8.8 million, Broadway sold out. The economy is booming. No one knows what's coming. This is COVID lockdown. March through May 2020. Empty streets. Times Square deserted. Field hospitals erected in Central Park. Refrigerator trucks line up outside hospitals. 20,000 New Yorkers dead in the first 2 months. 23% of jobs lost. New York becomes the first U.S. epicenter. COVID's death toll in New York exceeded 9/11 within 6 weeks. But this disaster unfolded in empty streets. The density that made the city great now threatens it. This is recovery and adaptation in 2024. Tourism has fully rebounded. Office attendance remains below pre-COVID levels as remote work persists. The housing market is strong but increasingly unaffordable. Climate adaptation projects are beginning across the 5 boroughs. This is the new normal, a city adjusting to multiple ongoing transformations at once. This is New York in 2026. Population holding steady near 9 million. The subway system continues its long-delayed modernization. Sea level rise projections drive new coastal infrastructure planning. Congestion pricing has finally been implemented after years of delays. Former office buildings are being converted to residential use. The essential tension remains. How does a city built for density adapt to climate change without losing what makes it work? The floods will come. The heat waves will intensify. The infrastructure will age. But New York has been here before. Different crises, same question, adapt or decline. So far, it's always chosen adaptation. From Lenape fishing grounds to post-pandemic metropolis, New York's superpower has always been transformation. It's been destroyed by fire, disease, financial collapse, and terrorism. And it's rebuilt every time. The city in 2026 isn't finished. It never is. That's the point. What do you think defines a city that refuses to stand still? Drop your thoughts below.